Hey, this is Darius for Ancient Rome Live. We're traveling along the Via Appia Antica, and in this episode, we're exploring the area after Terracina, cutting along the coastline to Minturnae and up to Capua. It's an adventure, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can follow along this epic adventure all the way to Brindisi. After Terracina, Via Appia turns inland to the city of Fondi. Now, this is the city that's originally Arunci, then is conquered by the Volscians, and we hear it coming under the sway of Rome in 338 BC. By the 2nd century BC, the citizens of Fondi are Roman citizens, and the Via Appia passed right through it. This is one of its keys to its success and its wealth. There are many tombs that line the Via Appia, and on the road to Fondi, there is the famous so-called mausoleum of Galba. Now, Galba wasn't buried there, but his name is associated with that tomb of the early imperial age. Galba was from Terracina, a short-lived emperor of the period of the 4 emperors. He's ultimately buried on the Via Aurelia. But that is the most impressive mausoleum tomb that's preserved between Terracina and Fondi. Inside of Fondi, today what dominates is this medieval castle when it becomes part of the Papal States. But one of the great ruins that we have revealed during the bombing in World War II is the Imperial Baths on the road inside the city of Fondi. It dates from the 1st to the 4th centuries AD. This is the city that bore the ancestors of Livia, the wife of Augustus. And it's no chance then that the Republican villa that becomes the Villa of Tiberius was originally owned by Livia's family. That is the famous imperial villa along the coastline of Sperlonga, which is famous for a magnificent array of sculptures. But we have that deep-rooted tie in the farmland and the city of Fondi with the family of Livia, who then marries Augustus. Here we have an amazing section of the Via Appia. It's in a park that today is called Parco de Monte Arunci, referring to the famous Italic people that once lived here, ultimately conquered by the Romans. So again, the Via Appia starts in 312 BC and progresses down southeast all the way ultimately to Brindisi. It's being constructed in the middle of the Samnite Wars that will bring the Romans down here. Now, in this particular stretch, you have a wonderful level of preservation because the Bourbons continue to use this stretch of road, and so you have a lot of the pavement relaid at that time. But there are plenty of sections that date to the reign of the Emperor Caracalla, and that's probably when the Temple of Apollo, going all the way back to the Republican era, was reconstructed, and that becomes the platform and the base for the construction of the Sant'Andrea Fort, which is a Bourbon construction. So much history in this stretch of the Via Appia. I'm here in the Park of the Arunci. I'm in Lazio, and this is a stretch that's beautifully preserved from Fondi towards Itri. And this particular area here is fascinatingly well preserved. We have much of the original pavement. We actually are standing on an artificial terrace. So for this portion of the Via Appia, for about 100 or so meters, you have a large wall that was constructed 30 feet high. So we're actually standing on an artificial platform. And this was considered to be a place of importance, a place of getting sustenance, a place of having rest. So they've built up this area where then you could pull over as a pedestrian, or pull over with your wagon and get sustenance, have rest, possibly lodging, definitely getting water. So this structure right here is part of that contemporary construction. And we have our famous opus reticulatum right here that's cut right into the living rock. And we can see here the walls of that structure where people would be accommodated. People would be able to rest. And behind it, directly cut into the living bedrock, is a cistern. So there's ample amounts of water for you when you're getting that rest. This is one of those great experiences that you can have when you're on the Via Appia, because you're totally isolated from the modern world. We have a road here that's being used in the Bourbonic period as well. So there's all kinds of examples of reparations. And we have the idea that the Grand Tour is passing by here as well. And then today, in 2022, it's a place where you can walk and you can explore, really away from any signs of modernity. We're surrounded by olive groves, and just in the distance, we can feel that light breeze of the sea. I'm so tickled. I mean, here we are on a stretch of the Via Appia. Cars are still riding over the rest of the road. This is the road from Fondi, passing by the medieval city of Itri, on to Formiae. And today, this section is a parking lot. That's one of the most ancient parking lots in the history of humanity. Like Fondi, Formiae is a city that was first under the care of the Arunci, then the Volscians, and finally the Romans. The Via Appia passed through here after Fondi. So from inland, we're back at the coast. And the Via Appia then traces its way along the coast to Minturnae. But Formiae was a place that was known for luxurious villas in the late Republican times. Cicero had a villa here. Sextus Pompey, Mamura. So the high and mighty of late Republican Rome were here, and we can see the remains of luxurious villas along the sea still today. In 43 BC, Cicero was killed in his villa in Formiae. Forever associated with the tomb that came afterwards is this structure right here, 24 meters in height, that's almost 80 feet. It is monumental and fitting for the personality of Cicero. Although we can never really say with certainty that it is his tomb, it is forever associated with him, forever associated with the city of Formiae. Minturnae is founded in 296 BC, and it takes on a new life under Augustus. And it gets monumental structures like the theater in the distance. And next to the Capitoline Temple right here, there's going to be the temple of the deified Augustus. But the true star today of the site, the archaeological park of Minturnae, is the Via Appia. It passes by right here underneath my feet. So we have to imagine that grand road stretching from Rome ultimately to Brindisi. Here it's passing through a prominent Roman town. It goes right through the heart of the city, like it does in Terracina. And we have all those central components of this city visible to us today. We have on the one end the Basilica, that hall for litigation, and the Forum itself right here that takes on a monumental aspect in the imperial period, and still later on you have imperial reconstructions of homes as well as the Macellum. So there's commerce, there's trade, there's gathering, and what brings people here to Minturnae? It's the Via Appia, leading you on to Rome, leading you down towards Brindisi. Thanks for joining us on Ancient Rome Live. You can find a lot more content on our website, ancientromelive.org, and of course you can also donate so that we can make more fantastic content. We're so excited about ancient Rome and Empire and all that has been left behind throughout the Mediterranean. Let us know in the comments what you'd like us to make next.